Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode number 287 of the Canadian Football Countdown, a proud member of the Canadian Football Podcast Network and the Alternative Football Network. We've got the whole crew, all four of us here tonight. It's one of my favorite shows of the year. It's our annual CFL Fantasy Draft Special here on the Canadian Football Countdown. As we embark on another year of CFL football beginning this week. Yes, CFL football this week. The regular season begins this Thursday. We'll have our week one preview show this Wednesday as well. So double coverage from the Canadian Football Countdown this week as we kick off another season of CFL Fantasy here tonight as well, going through a 16-round CFL Fantasy Draft. But first, let's get the housekeeping out of the way. Actually, let's start by introducing our panel this evening. Let's start off with a man we haven't seen in a while. Mike is back. Mike, how are you doing tonight?
There we go. Been away so long, I forgot how to hit the unmute button. No, I'm good. It's been good. Life's been good. Been busy. Local hockey season done, and that been straightened away just in time for my favorite show of the year, where Team Daryl will hope to have a better performance this year than last year.
Yeah, it really did not go well for you at all last year. We're a little surprised you came back, but we're happy you're here. Joining us tonight as well. He's off camera right now because I think he's going to have quite the introduction in a little bit. I know he's been cooking something up, but Adam is here. His voice is here at least, nonetheless. Adam, how are you doing tonight?
Hey, I'm doing real well. Yeah, no, it's definitely an exciting time for Team Adam. I mean, of course, the championship and everything else last year. And shortly, you guys will be getting to hear the official speech from the throne. So be sure to be getting everybody ready to go for that because, hey, this is one that you don't want to miss, like the one on Parliament Hill. That one didn't matter. This is the one that matters.
I can't wait. We'll get to that shortly. And joining us here once again as well, those on the video, I can see he's changed his name to Collusion Central Colback. I'm not sure. I'm looking forward to seeing what he's got planned for tonight. But Trey, how you doing?
I don't know why, but Mike started laughing or smiling, and it just killed me. I don't know. I don't know. I just saw his little white teeth, and I'm like, why is this so funny? I'm okay. We've cracked so many jokes off air. I don't know where we're at. Let's just start.
It's this episode. I love every aspect of it. I love that it brings the four of us together. And I know there's been a lot of trash talk flowing back and forth over the last couple of days. A little bit of stress from everybody planning for what could be a bit of an unpredictable draft here tonight. So looking forward to seeing how that all plays out. Those joining us live, send in your comments, send in your questions in the live chat if you're joining our YouTube, Facebook, or Twitch pages. And that's made possible by our presenting sponsor, Game Time TV. You can learn more at GameTimeTV.ca or Facebook.com/GameTimeTVMB. Send in those comments throughout the evening. Let us know who you think everybody should draft with their next pick throughout the night. Before we go any further, we do want to acknowledge that the Canadian Football Countdown is brought to you from Treaty 1 territory, traditional territory of the Anishinaabe, Cree, Ojibwe, Dakota, and Dene peoples, and the homeland of the Métis Nation, as well as from Treaty 4 territory, traditional territory of the Cree, Saulteaux, Dakota, Lakota, Nakota, and Métis Nation. As we kick off a new season of CFL football, it's a busy time in the CFC Discord as well. Go check out our Discord community. There's a link in the episode description. It's free to join us over there. It was a particularly fun weekend with the cut down days for CFL rosters. Lots of chatter going back and forth with some big name cuts around the CFL. We'll see how those play out into tonight's fantasy draft as well. I think that may have thrown a bit of a wrench in a couple folks' draft plans. But yeah, link is in the episode description. Free to join us over there. We have game day threads going throughout the season. We have a CFL fantasy channel where as I have time, I throw out charts. Might not be every week this year, unfortunately, but I've got some good fantasy charts and a lot of good chatter there. and a lot of activity in the betting channel as well. I don't know if you have anything you want to chat about there, Trey? About anything you got planned for betting wise as our resident betting expert this year?
No, nothing crazy. We'll just probably do our weekly picks like normal against the spread, maybe some over under, maybe some straight money lines. We got something good. Interesting week ones are all pretty tight, actually. I think everything was like 1 or 2 points except for Edmonton. Did they play BC? Yeah, that game was 5.5 last time I checked, but we'll talk about the exact lines on Wednesday. But yeah, very interesting lines.
And
home
just so you
field
know,
still
the
doesn't
coin
matter.
will be back.
And the coin, yeah, I guess so, yeah.
Yeah, the best better on the podcast, the coin flip last year, I think. I don't know what that says for the rest of us, but as I mentioned before, Wednesday night, week 1 CFL preview. We will be going Wednesday nights throughout the season. You can look forward to a similar format in nature. We'll talk about the upcoming matchups, maybe touch on the week before a little bit. And then we'll talk fantasy and betting picks every week as well. So join us there. Make sure you hit the subscribe button over on the YouTube channel or in the podcast feeds to get notified every time there is a new episode. We're going to have a lot of fun here this evening with the fantasy draft, but unfortunately, we do have some sad news in the CFL community that came out just before the draft that we want to take a moment to acknowledge, and that is the unfortunate and tragic passing of Chase Stiegel, son of Bomber legend Milt Stiegel, CFL legend Milt Stiegel as well, passing away at the age of 21 years old. Hard to put into words at such a young age. Tragic event to see, and our thoughts go out to the whole Stiegel family and all of his friends and anybody affected by this loss as well. And Stiegel's Milt is one of those guys that I think, obviously loved in Winnipeg, obviously loved around the CFL and his role on TSN as well. So, Milt, the entire CFL community is with you and your family as you go through this tough situation. And we'll take a couple second silence here in honor of Chase Stiegel. May he rest in peace. All right. No easy way to transition away from that, of course, but, let's get into the main festivities of this evening, which is the CFL Fantasy Draft Special. I am returning this year as your lovely commissioner of this particular league, and so I'll give you a quick rundown before the draft begins on what you can expect to see from us tonight. Of course, the CFL is a bit of an interesting league to do fantasy, season-long fantasy for, with there only being 4 games a week and 9 teams across the league. It does limit you a little bit, so we have to get creative with the format. So what you will see tonight is, first of all, each of us has announced will be announcing 2 keeper selections from our previous year rosters. We've made those known to each other ahead of time already, so folks could plan out their draft boards a little bit. But we will share those with all of you here shortly as well. And follow it. And the rules for the keeper selections were you could keep max 1 quarterback, max 1 running back, and you could not keep anybody that you kept the previous year, which Trey was the only one who had his keepers from last year left on his roster at year's end. So Curly Gittins Jr. and Dalton Schoen were not eligible for him, but we'll take you all through our keeper selections here shortly. Following that, we will have 11 main draft rounds where people fill out the bulk of their roster. And in this portion of the draft, and including the keepers, at the end of this, everybody will have 13 players on their roster, consisting of 2 quarterbacks, 2 running backs, 5 wide receivers, 2 kickers, 2 defenses. And at the end of the main 11-round draft, everyone must have at least 2 nationals on their roster because CFL, we got to get the ratio in here somewhere. So, yes, you must have your 2 nationals at the end of the main draft rounds before the 5 bonus rounds, to clarify for those drafting tonight. And once that's completed, everybody's kind of had a chance to fill out the main positions on the board. We open it up to 5 bonus rounds where we can fill out the benches a little bit. And that will pick up right where the main draft leaves off. So whoever picks fourth overall in the draft, which Adam will tell us shortly, will be the one kicking off the bonus draft rounds. And in that round, quarterbacks, running backs, and wide receivers will be selected with a max of 2 quarterbacks and a max of 2 running backs in that round, which we'll go over that again when we get to that. Your typical fantasy football league style, everybody has $100 of waiver money throughout the season to bid on players to add to their rosters. Trades are allowed as well, of course. So plenty of activity throughout the season, but tonight is where we begin to set the foundation. Couple of notable changes from last year as well. There is no injured reserve this season because, frankly, it was too complicated to keep track of. And especially with teams, keeping an injured quarterback as the third string on the roster, it muddied it a lot. And that was far more work than I wanted to deal with this year. So we have increased the bench size slightly because there is no injured reserve. And a few changes to the scoring system, or talking about the scoring system in general. It's your pretty standard fantasy football scoring: 4 points for a passing touchdown, 6 points for a rushing receiving touchdown. It is 1 point per reception. Return yards and return touchdowns do not count this year. Notice to everybody drafting tonight, that is different than years past, and just to simplify score calculations as well. So no return yards and return touchdowns this year, and no safeties for defenses, because those are hard for me to search through the stat line to do super quick. Trey, you have your arms raised.
I don't remember that at the league meeting.
It is in the info document. I did send you all that you didn't read.
We're supposed to read that?
I spent a lot of time putting everything in writing so that nobody had gray areas this year.
You're lucky I read the chat. Anyway, okay.
The season-long format will go to end of week 20 because 21 is normally a crapshoot of meaningless football games. Team with the highest overall score at the end will be this year's champion. We do have a trade deadline this year as well, which is Friday, October 3rd before kickoff. I believe that's week 18. I don't know, anything I missed from the rundown of how this is going to work tonight before we get into our draft order? Everybody is clear on what they are drafting tonight.
Yes, Ryan.
All right, I'm seeing some nods and I can't see Adam, so I'm going to assume he knows what's going on.
Yes, Ryan.
Okay. Then let's turn it over to our champion from last year here. We started this tradition. Last year I introduced the draft order by roasting everybody, and I don't get to do it again. I figure it's only right that the champion gets the opportunity to do so. So, Adam, you took me down last year. You stole my crown, and with that, you get full rights here tonight. And there he is.
Absolutely.
For the audio-only
listeners,
listeners,
from the throne, man, and this is what you get when you get the speech from the throne out in Saskatchewan. You get to wear the rider ring and get to go and give out a speech here that goes and reminds you of everything great about the CFL and the Canadian Football Countdown.
For the audio only listeners, before you go further here, Adam, we need to describe the outfit here a little bit. Can you tell the audio only listeners what you've got for tonight?
So full robe, of course. I mean, unfortunately, they only make King Charles size, not King Henry VIII, so it doesn't fit so great. But hey, it looks great on me. I mean, I've got the crown. I've got the 2013 Grey Cup ring in my hand. I mean, like I said, I'm ready to rule for many, many more years. And honestly, if nothing else, we'll take a picture. We'll post it up on our Twitter page later on so everybody can go and have a good laugh of, I wouldn't be laughing at a king. We execute for the people that laugh at us. So, there's that.
Think redneck Burger King. That's all I can think about right now.
Pretty much.
I I couldn't describe it any better than that. Adam in the YouTube chat, different Adam, I assume, has been asking, how many years have you been doing this? I believe this is this will be the 4th season of the full crew here. Mike and I did go head to head for a couple of years before that. I believe he won 1 year, I won 1 year, if I remember correctly. But we've done 3 seasons before. I won the first 2, and Adam claimed his first title this past season. And welcome to a new viewer checking out the channel. Happy to have you here.
By the way, I don't wear this every day, so just, you know, don't have to worry about this.
I think you have to now.
That or I might just have the crown sit here at least during weekly episodes. So
my goal tonight is to just drag out the draft long enough that Adam just gets overheated in that outfit and gives up.
This is painful, man. This thing is itchy, especially on the back of the neck. Anyways, let me go and start reading out the speech from the throne.
Well, let's wait for Mike to return. Mike needed to step out for a couple of minutes. I think we want Mike to hear your speech from the throne here as well. So
of course, I've got to make sure I'm all my ruling class here, or the class the guys that I rule over. I got to make sure every one of them hears them. My royals, my subjects.
You know what? Before we get into our keepers, maybe we can, or before we get into the draft order, while we wait for Mike to come back, we can start going through our keepers from last season, because that's not necessarily in the draft order. I think that would be a good use of our time. We'll go through, that's not the way I wanted to do this. I believe it's like that. Hopefully that is readable on the screen. Let us know in the chat if it is not, but these are our keeper selections from last season. One by one, we'll go in the order they are on the screen here. Read through who you had left on your roster, and let us know who you had, who you chose as your keepers, and why. So we'll start with you, Trey, because you were on the left here.
Sorry, I'm just having my Costco muffin. Anyway, to the new Adam in the chat, we eat a lot on the podcast, so I apologize if that's not something you like. But I went with, of course, a pair of Canadians here. Nathan Rourke as my quarterback. I mean, I know I wasn't really high on BC last week, but I think that pick's self-explanatory. Oh, that was one rule we added too. Quarterbacks count as Canadians on the ratio, right?
Yeah,
so
correct.
That was one big reason there. And we need to have 2 Canadians, so I said, let's go with DeAndre Smith as well. Hamilton receiver, so that's where I went. Am I supposed to go through everybody or just the 2 I kept?
Just give a quick rundown of who else was in consideration from your roster.
Well, I wanted Baby Tua, but apparently he plays in Europe now, so that was out of luck. Kadeem Carey got cut. Javon Leak, we'll see. There might be a return if it's in the cards, and a couple of the other guys on my receiver core, but there might be some re-signings or whatever, redraftings if they're available. And I want to scroll down. I can't remember who I had. Thank you there. That's wild. That's the only 2 kickers I have on my draft board. So hopefully that works out. And same with the defense. So I wasn't going to keep a defense, and I wasn't allowed to keep Schoen, right?
Yeah.
I wasn't allowed to keep Gittins either, right? Was that my
correct?
One? Right.
Correct. Yeah.
Right. So I was out of luck on that one. So yeah, I thought keep the 2 Canadians, keep the ratio strong. No 51st state here. It's just true north, strong and free. I might draft all Canadians by the end of the night. Let's see.
That is a strategy, of course. Let's go to our keepers for Team Adam, who has now changed his name on screen to King Adam, ruler of CFC. This power has gone to his head, and I hate this night already. Adam, talk us through your roster from end of last season and who you went with as your keepers.
Ryan, just so you know, also, I expect to be addressed by King Adam for this episode. Just so you know. Anyways, I went with Vernon Adams Jr. and Brady Oliveira. I mean, Brady Oliveira is obvious. As much as I had to hurt my foolish pride by picking up the Winnipeg running back, he's been great. And I mean, he's a national. He's a ratio breaker. So non-starter. That guy was going to stay. Vernon Adams Jr., I think, is going to have a good season in Calgary. I just don't think the team around him is going to have a good season, but we'll see what happens here. I'm hoping that I'm right and that he can really do something and see what he can do to turn things around. Other players I had, Trevor Harris, Cody Fajardo. Cody Fajardo's now a backup. Harris, is he going to stay healthy? Is he not? Hard to say. Good pickup, though, if somebody needs him. He might be a good quarterback for someone. Javon Katoy. I just want to see more out of him for BC before I pick him up again. Reggie Bagleton, again, great choice. Would love to keep him, but just can only keep 2 guys. Same with Tim White, Keon Hatcher. Justin Hardy was a steal last year for me in the draft. I don't know why nobody looked at him earlier. And then I ended up with Eugene Lewis in the end. Could you scroll down for me a little bit there, Trey? Or Ryan, or whoever's scrolling here? My kickers, Brett Lowther, Rene Paredes. I've had Paredes for how many years now? He finally got to go and celebrate with the King for winning one. Lowther is there. Again, defenses. You don't really want to keep defenses just because. Saskatchewan, Toronto, two good defenses. We'll see if I can maybe get some of these guys back. This team here won a trophy, so it's well worth trying to get some guys back. Armstead, of course, isn't in the league anymore. And AJ Ouellette might have a good season as well. We'll see where he ends up getting picked up. So that was my team for 2024.
All right, then we go over to Team Mike. Mike is back now. Mike, take us through who you had on your roster at end of last year and ultimately who you decided to keep as your keepers and why.
Yeah, so I had a bit of a rough year. Kind of exemplified by the fact I decided to trade Brady Oliveira. Wasn't the smartest move on my part. I ended up with Zach Kalaus and Chad Kelly as my quarterbacks, Johnny Idestein and William Stabat as my running backs. Part of this, just for clarification, was about the 10 or 15 moves that I made in the last 2 weeks of the season to set myself up for this year potentially. So in case you want to know the odd, Johnny Idestein is a backup running back. That's why. The part of my team that I was most pleased with this last year was my wide receivers. Kenny Lawler, Nick Dempsey, Shamar Bridges, Keyshawn Johnson, Austin Matt, Stephen Dunbar Jr., Aiden Eberhardt on my IR. Starting last week of this, a little bit more, actually a month left in the season, I was able to pick up Tyson Philpott. Just with the option of being able to protect them was very, very appealing, considering I would have to blow this thing up as the general manager and start over. So my kickers were Jose Maltos and Liram Alphabet. I'm not even going to try to pronounce the last name. My defenses were Edmonton and Hamilton. Actually, pleasantly surprised with the way the Edmonton defense played to end last year. Hamilton too, although they were a non-playoff team. My 2 protections. This one kind of is fairly obvious. Tyson Philpott was my protection. I think it speaks for itself. I think he's one of the best Canadian receivers in the CFL. You could argue him and McInnes might have an argument for 1-2. I think both guys are the best at their position, but my guy's slightly better. No, yeah, probably is. But no, it is the Canadian Football League. I wanted to start off with the National in a spot if I could. And then my second protection, this is where I kind of went back and forth. I did on Kenny Lawler, Nick Dempsey, Austin Matt. Those were the 3 that I was kind of ultimately weighing on. And then I ended up settling on Shamar Bridges. Might be a bit of an interesting deep shot, long shot pit. To be honest, I was debating between him and Kenny Lawler, especially with Kenny Lawler changing teams now. But no, I just wanted a guy that I think ended up last year being more consistent over the back half of the season. and start myself off with 2 wide receivers. Quite frankly, not happy with my quarterbacks. Quite frankly, not happy with my production getting out of the running back. So I think all things considered came out of the protection. Protected players phase pretty decently.
I just now realized that you had both Kenny Lawler and Shamar Bridges and chose Shamar Bridges over Kenny Lawler. And I'm actually a little surprised by that. But hey, we'll see how that plays out tonight. Bridges did have himself a fantastic season last year. So I get the pick there as well.
And to answer your question, Ryan, it had purely to do with health. Kenny Lawler missed a lot of games last year, whereas Shamar Bridges didn't. So
absolutely. All right. And then my team ending off last year at quarterback, Bo Levi Mitchell, Trey Ford, Davis Alexander, really good trio of quarterbacks there with 2 of them now moving into a starting role, 3 starting QBs to end the year. Running back, Walter Fletcher, Kalen Laybourne, Greg Bell. Walter Fletcher, a surprise cut this week that we'll probably talk maybe a little more about on our week 1 preview show this week, some of those cuts. But that was a big shocker. And Kalen Laybourne, I think, signed with Saskatchewan and then was cut there as well. At wide receiver, I had Justin McInnes, Mackay Polk, and Ontario Wilson. Both those guys off to the NFL. Khalil Pimpleton, Sam Emelis. And I did have a Joe, who's also off to the NFL. Is that correct? Adam's nodding. And Dante Myers on my IR, Sean White, Lewis Ward at kicker, and Montreal's defense and BC's defense. My 2 keeper selections, running back Greg Bell and wide receiver Justin McInnes. I went into the keeper selection time with the full plans of choosing one of my 3 quarterbacks to keep. That was the plan coming out of last season when first place was too much out of the grasp. But I really like Greg Bell. I think he's going to be a top running back in the CFL this year. And Justin McInnes was top receiver in the CFL last year and is also national. And I really can't pick between my 3 quarterbacks, so I'm just going to let those who are ahead of me in the draft make my decision for me tonight. I thought that was the easiest way to ease my conscience, and so that's where I ultimately went with my keeper selections. Now that you've heard all of those, and now that the whole crew is here, Adam, you've got the speeches ready. Let me just change the view back to this. Tell us, what order will we be drafting tonight?
Well, we have decreed that Team Mike will be going first. However, I do have to say a few words about each of the loyal subjects here and explain all about them. Team Mike, every time we see you, you're in a different place. You're never on. If you are on, it's very rarely. And every time you're in a different place. This time it looks like you've wandered onto the set of The Shining. I mean, it's starting to get a little bit scary, man, every time we see you. Most times we don't get to see you, though, lots, but even though we miss you. But just remember tonight, you're not worrying about Mitch Marner or John Tavares or any of those other teams. You're worrying about football tonight. And not NFL football, CFL football. Just thought I'd make sure you knew this. But don't worry, you don't have any horse in the race, so it's all good. So you should be fine. Anyways. Now that Mike's done, we've got Team Ryan. They're going to be drafting second. Even though he's had to have extensive therapy, had to probably talk to the wife about 10 times about if he wants to do this tonight, had to have another child to make sure that this is okay to come back and do this. But after many weeks of therapy, and he still makes that claim about the $100 that he had to spend every time that anybody wants to listen to him about it, how he lost the thing by spending money on the most outstanding player in the East, and he still lost.
Worth every penny.
Absolutely. But again, he has the big theory as a big member of the Nathan Rourke fan club, even though he can't have Nathan Rourke. He's like the Toronto Maple Leafs, like Mike's not favorite team in the league. He is all about the core 3. Interesting. I don't even know if I think one of the core 3 got cut the other day from Edmonton. But nevertheless, we'll see how that works. Next up, we've got Trey Colbert. Well, we have me, but I'm not going to go in. You know, why destroy perfection? I mean, it's just as simple as that. When you go from the perfect province and you come from the perfect place, And you come from a team that right beside you that's absolutely perfect in every way. That makes cool little 2013 Grey Cup replica rings. You just know that you don't need to go and talk about yourself that much. Especially when you're the reigning, defending, undisputed heavyweight king of the world right now. There's just no point. Anyways, I'm going to go to the next pick, though, who has the fourth round pick in the snake draft that we're going to be doing tonight, and that is Trey Colbeck, who's all about the collusion and all about the vibes. Everything is about the vibes. Unfortunately, some of his vibes are always a little bit off. Like the time when he traded for a guy that was injured and gave me national wide receiver. That was an interesting pay. But unlike Mike, there's one thing always about Trey. He's always got a horse in the race. Namely because he's watching them all the time. But let's hope that this year he can actually maybe go and not just go by vibes and actually read a transaction chart maybe once or twice. It would kind of be nice to make sure that he's not going to end up in last or second to last place like for the last 4 years. And with that, I would like to officially declare that the 2025 Canadian Football Countdown Draft is open. And Team Mike, you have the pick.
Incredible, Adam. Well done. Well done. This is my favorite part of the Fantasy League now every year.
Okay.
Before I announce the first overall pick, I would like to know.
I forgot to add one more thing there, Mike. I'm just
Yep.
checking. Did you want to kiss the Ryder ring? Kiss the
Sorry?
King's ring? Did you want to kiss the King's ring?
No.
Oh, okay.
I have a question for you, Adam, just before I do the first overall pick.
Sure.
On a tractor or a cedar, you have a lot of time to paint. So I commend you. Well done. Well
It's all
done.
planning in the tractor. There's 3 boards in the tractor at all times. One of them has my fertilizer rate, one of them has my seed rate, and one of them has my pick rates.
Wait, what's the question, Mike? You said you had a question for me.
No. I had a comment.
Okay.
Yeah.
I thought I heard
Sorry,
question
I,
2. I thought I had a stroke.
No, and I just my question is, did that all come to you on the machine?
Oh, absolutely. I have lots of time to plan stuff when I'm on a combine or on a tractor. So this was pretty much me going and when I have my half-mile rounds to do while seeding. Oh, yeah. This is what came out of it.
So yeah, I was going to suggest that all came to Adam on a machine known as ChatGPT, but
Nope, I didn't even use ChatGPT. I actually didn't do it this time. I was going to on Trey, but I was like, no, that's not fun.
well done though, Adam. Well done. And like you said, the 2025 draft is officially open. Half an hour into this podcast, it's going to be a long night here, folks, as we do a 16-round draft. Keepers are in place. So just to recap from Adam's roast there. Team Mike selecting first. He's got Tyson Philpott and Shamar Bridges already. I am selecting second in the draft. Greg Bell and Justin McInnes as my keepers. Adam is selecting third. Brady Oliveira, Vernon Adams Jr. on his roster already. And Trey at fourth overall. Nathan Rourke and Keandre Smith, his 2 selections so far. So, Mike, you've had a few days since you learned you had the first overall pick in the draft to make your decision, and it's now time to tell us what that is.
Yes, with the first overall pick in the CFC 2025 Fantasy Football Draft, Team Mike proud to select from the Hamilton Tiger Cats quarterback Bo Levi Mitchell. And yeah, we picked Bo because his stats speak for himself. He made me regret cutting him early last year. Although the funny part was a certain member of this podcast spent his $100. Gentlemen, as we've already discussed, no $100 Bo Levi Mitchell for you, Ryan, at least to start.
Well worth it every time. Yes, that was Bo Levi Mitchell. You know, the who would have thought coming into last year? We all bagged on him quite a bit, and he ended up being the East MOP nominee, and not a surprise at all to see you select him at first overall here. What a comeback for Bo Levi Mitchell to be the first player off the board in the CFL draft. Mike goes quarterback at first overall. And, like I was saying, I couldn't decide between my three quarterbacks. So I was going to wait and see what Mike left me with the second overall pick. And there's two games going on here tonight. One is the CFC Fantasy Draft Special, and one is a bunch of mind games because it's a lot of fun. And I don't know how much this impacts everybody's plans, but I never had a plan of selecting a quarterback in the first round of this draft. Because I think I can wait to get one I like a little bit later on in the draft. So I'm going to shore up the running back position. I think that is the scariest position in the draft currently based on a couple of cuts over the last couple of days. I've got Greg Bell from the Ticats already. He went into Hamilton, took over for a guy who I think was a fantastic running back, still is a fantastic running back, and goes back to the BC Lions where he had his best season alongside Nathan Rourke. I don't think Rourke has a ton of options at wide receiver to work with. I think there's a lot of dump passes going to this guy. I think he is also going to be an integral part of that Buck Pierce offense. Got to put on the BC Lions hat for this one. Give me running back James Butler of the BC Lions here at second overall.
No, great pickup. I think if you're looking for a quarter or for a running back, and again, running backs and quarterbacks, those are real tough ones to always get because you only get two of them right off the bat. There are guys that you really have to draft fairly early in the thing, and it makes perfect sense. So James Butler, even though he wasn't very most productive in Hamilton, he came from a team that didn't want to run to him. It wasn't that he didn't want to run. So he's got lots of gas in the tank. He's got lots to prove. I think it was a great pick to pick up James Butler very early in this draft. However, I am going to go and do the opposite of what Ryan was thinking because quarterbacks are a very tough thing to get a hold of, and getting good ones are a very tough thing to get a hold of. You've only got two really that are kind of your starters, and you maybe want to throw a third on the bench. But nevertheless, you want to make sure you get one from one side of a division or from a division and a one from the other side of the division. So I think with my pickup here, and he has just proven, and I think if I've checked this 3 times today, it sounds like everything's clear and he's good to go. I am going to select from the Toronto Argonauts quarterback Chad Kelly.
Love it.
My initial reaction is a little bit surprised.
My initial reaction is I'm waiting for the trade deal between Adam and Trey coming up after the draft.
I have no such thing that I know of.
I don't know what you're talking about, Ryan, because you know what? Because this is a great segue into mine, because funny enough, none of those 3 guys were on my draft board whatsoever, because there's only one that deserves to go in the first round pick. I have the best Canadian quarterback already on my team, but why not add the number 1 quarterback in the CFL? Give me the wonder, like the ageless wonder, signed another year into 2026, MOP, Zach Collaros.
I mean, you're putting your money where your mouth is. In our season preview, you did, or in our top 5 quarterbacks coming in the year, you did say Zach Collaros was going to be number 1 this year. I like to see that you're aligning with that with your draft pick here.
I was going to type it out, or I'm going to forget that I actually picked him in the morning when I sober up. Anyway, no, I'm just kidding. My because we're going to go snake draft, right? So it's back to me. Or do you have to? Doesn't want to add anything? No, we're good. Okay. Well, I forgot to also thank King Adam. You know, this great speech, King Adam. I love it. And for our second round pick to kick things off, we're gonna, I don't know. this one kind of came to me, maybe off the board, maybe not. Who knows? We're going to stick. I don't like going to one team too much, but we're going to stick in Winnipeg. We're going to go to a wideout here. Give me Keurig Wheatfall.
Wow.
I really liked what I saw out of him in the preseason. I got a Bomber fan coming up that's sitting next beside me here that likes to take some Bombers. I got Ryan who likes to take these random depth pieces here and there. Adam might be bombered out already. But anyway, I want to give me some depth there, and I really liked what I saw out of 2 weeks in the preseason out of him.
Well, let me, before we get to Adam's thoughts, let me bring up this comment from the chat earlier. Football prediction pool saying, I'd take Keurig Wheatfall as a sleeper. Going to be 1,000-yard guy this year with 7+ touchdowns. Adam, your thoughts on the pick? Or on both of Trey's picks?
I like it. I mean, Keurig Wheatfall looked great in the 2 preseason games I seen him. Last year he had some big yards. I think he's going to be a pretty good receiver in this Winnipeg backfield. And you know what? They just lost Kenny Lawler. They need some big pieces to get him going here. However, one other thing that everybody always needs.
Can I just say one thing, though? I didn't actually see that chat either. I had this guy on my list all day. Just to prove it out, I didn't see that comment. So I look more like a genius. Anyway, Adam, sorry, King Adam, for interrupting. I apologize.
Next time that happens, it's off with your head. I'm just saying. Just saying. Anyways, I'm a benevolent king, so I will let it happen this time. I'm a very nice king as of right now, for now. Anyways, I'm gonna go. Like I said, I do like Wheatfall's pick. However, there's a wide receiver, and then there's wide receivers that are Canadians, and you got to have a few of those every time in this league, and they're very important wherever you do this with. So with my next pick in the 2025 CFC Fantasy Draft, I'm going to go with, usually I don't like doing this because it makes me look like a homer, but Saskatchewan Roughriders Samuel Emelis as my next pick for the draft. And reason
I like
again, national, got lots of yards. If you look, they got an injury right now in Saskatchewan. Oh, they got an injury. Who'd have thought? Just one. That's all we got, right? In our receiving core right now, there's an injury that I'm really kind of nervous about. And I think that means that this guy here Emelis has to produce. And hey, he's a national. That always helps too.
Yeah, I think it's an excellent pick for you. He was high up there on my rankings of Canadian receivers as well. He was somebody I had thought about picking perhaps in the next couple of rounds also. He's a huge target guy. Like, the Riders have a lot of good receivers, and it can be hard to pick between them sometime, but he seemed to be always good for a bunch of targets last year, and I think targets is really key when it comes to the receiver position in the CFL. Back to me for my next pick, and I think I'm going to continue the trend that Adam just started, and also kind of continue the trend that Trey started here, because I'm going with a national wide receiver, and I'm going to the Winnipeg Blue Bombers because I also want some Canadian receiver depth, and I'm going with Nick Dembski at wide receiver. I think the Bombers receiving core looks a little bit thin this year. I think there's some unknowns in there, although I do like the sleeper pick of Keurig Wheatfall. I think it comes down to if Collaros is going to get that back on track this year, it's going to come mainly at the hands of Dalton Schoen and at the hands of Nick Dembski. And new offensive coordinator wants to put his own spin on things. Who's probably the most useful piece of the offense when it comes to gadget plays? It's Nick Dembski at receiver. So I want him to back up Justin McInnes as my Canadian receiver duo here. So I'm going to take Nick Dembski in round 2 of the draft. And we go over to you, Mike. Your thoughts, and then you'll start giving us your picks for round 2 and 3.
Yeah, I like the Dembski pick. There's a couple other receivers I would have ahead of him in a general sense, but from a national standpoint, I like that pick for sure. For the next pick for Team Mike, we're going to go, wait for it, to the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Gonna pick the receiver. He's back from injury and ready to run wild. He's already being typed in the computer before I say the name. Give me Dalton Schoen. And yeah, his playmaking, his game-breaking speed is something not many CFL receivers have. His touchdowns relative to games played is also among the best in the league. So to open round number 3, I'm going to go national. Pitt might be a bit of a risk, but as they say, nothing runs like a deer. He can also be a car or a truck. From the Edmonton Elks, quarterback Trey Ford. And this, to me, is a bit of a risk. I'll admit that. But I like his production from a running standpoint. And boy, when this guy can find it, he can find it. And on Team Zero, no need to rush anything if Bo Levi Mitchell is playing like Bo Levi Mitchell.
I like the 2 picks. I feel like we're in a little bit in bizarro world where in 2025, 3 of the second round picks were Winnipeg Blue Bombers receivers before any other receiver other than Sam Amelis has been selected in the draft, based off of where the Winnipeg offense was last year. I'm really surprised that this is where we ended up here in the draft. But Dalton Schoen is well deserving of a second round pick, and assuming he can stay healthy as well. And Trey Ford, I like the pick at quarterback. I honestly came very close to keeping him this year for his. First of all, I'm a huge Trey Ford fan. He should be the starter in Edmonton this year. He is an explosive fantasy asset when he plays, and he's a national, so he's kind of a game breaker ultimately there. So I like the pick. My one concern is if he gets injured or they start super slow and then Fajardo comes in and plays well and does Ford to all of a sudden get the pull, if that's the situation. That's the only reason I didn't keep him earlier on in the draft. So I like the pick for you there, Mike. I also really like that you picked your second quarterback because now everybody has 2 quarterbacks but me, which means I can leave my 2 quarterback picks for rounds 10 and 11 in this draft and not care about the quarterback position and still get the 2 guys I wanted. So that is good news for me, and it's back to me now in this round of the draft. And I'm going to go back to the receiver position because I already have a running back as well. And, Adam, you asked at the top of this draft, who the heck let you get this guy in the bonus rounds of last year's draft? And it's not going to happen again because I'm going to take him here in round 3, and that's wide receiver Justin Hardy of the Ottawa Redblacks. Absolutely phenomenal season last year for him at wide receiver. He was second receiver in the league with 1,343 yards, tons of targets, tons of catches. They didn't put a ton of touchdowns on the board, but he was usually involved in that, and I think some other additions are going to open things up for him. So give me wide receiver Justin Hardy in round number 3.
I do like the pickup there, Ryan. I mean, obviously, Justin Hardy got me a pile of points last season. I think that he's going to get you probably a lot of points this season as well. He looks really good. The only difference from this year to last year is a certain receiver that's also in Ottawa right now that might maybe go and pull some balls away from Justin Hardy. And that guy there, by the way, I think was probably one of the, what was he, number 6 in receiving yards last season? So I am going to, I'm going to take him from the Ottawa Redblacks. I will take Eugene Lewis.
I was hemming and hawing between the 2 just to weigh in here because you make great points about Eugene Lewis. And I honestly could have gone either way. I knew I wanted one of them in this draft. I know typically looking at last year's fantasy charts, Hardy kind of lines up in a position that gets pretty safe numbers, so it's a solid floor. Lewis could be bigger boom or bust. He had 9 straight games with a touchdown last year. Interested to see how he slots into that Ottawa lineup. I think you could make an argument for either of them to go ahead of each other.
And to be honest with you, my pick was going to be Justin Hardy if you didn't pick him. So it was one or the other. And I'm hoping that Eugene Lewis has a fire in his belly, and especially when he sees Edmonton and Ed Hervey. So maybe that gave him some motivation. That's my goal.
All right. Trey, any thoughts from you on either of those picks? And then off to you for your two.
No, I just like watching you guys blow your picks. That's all. So we're gonna go on to me. I'm gonna take this guy. His season was kind of mediocre last year, and I think a lot of it had to do with injury. I don't have a running back right now, so I'm going to have to get one. And we're heading right into Pills country. Give me AJ Ouellette. I think he'll have a bounce. He should have a bounce back year, staying healthy. Trevor Harris stays healthy. I think the Rough Rider offensive line can't be worse. So I think they have a good chance there. Or injured. I mean, yeah, I guess so. And you know what? We're going to swing right back to me, and we're going to stick in the backfield, get my second running back right now before any of you yahoos decide to snag this guy. Going to go to Toronto. This guy took supposedly Kadeem Carey's job, I believe. I'm going to butcher his last name because I'm probably going to say it wrong. Give me Deonta McMahon? If you're doing something right where you're making Kadeem Carey lose a job, I think that that's worthy of being on Team Team Trey.
Not only Kadeem Carey, but Kevin Brown, who they brought in this offseason as well, for sure. Adam, your thoughts on the two running backs off the board?
You're pissed.
You're muted, Adam. I think you hit the microphone. Adam, hit the microphone, Adam. He's so pissed off that he was just continuing his rant.
Absolutely. I'm just going to sit there and rant at Trey because he took my running back, and it wasn't the one you're probably thinking I was wanting. I wanted Deonta McMahon. I think he's going to be a great running back in this league. He's been showing it for the last 2 years, kind of that, hey, Kadeem Carey is expendable, and this year he expended him. No, I like it. I like both of those picks. I think AJ Ouellette will have a good season in Saskatchewan. I'm a little concerned because I think that probably right now Craig Reynolds is trying to figure out if I'm filling this king suit big enough that he can put me in offensive line. Hopefully he doesn't see this. Anyways, I like both of those picks. They're great ones to make. And now I have to go and do some research because somebody took my pick. But it won't take me that long.
Do we need to filibuster in the meantime?
No. There don't need to be no filibuster, I don't think, in this case, because you know what? I see that somebody still hasn't taken another running back, and I've got to get my other running back before somebody decides that he's going to pull the trigger. And honestly, I'm kind of surprised at Ryan that he didn't actually go for this running back, because he usually likes dynamic running backs that come usually out of the Edmonton Elks backfield. It was Kevin Brown at one time that he went real high on, and I'm going to try to do the same thing here, and not as high maybe. Oop, got a phone call there. Got to maybe see if there's trade deals happening. Nevertheless, I'm going to take Justin Rankin of the Edmonton Elks as my running back, as my second one. I think he's really he's showing that he can really run when he wants to, and I think he's going to be a feature back in Edmonton. Ryan, you're up.
Yeah, Justin Rankin obviously came into consideration for me. I knew I wanted my second running back in round one, and I wasn't ready to pull the trigger on him in round one, just because I think Javon Leake will play a little bit of a split role there potentially at running back, but very good running back, absolutely explosive last year. And I I was ready to start typing in that pick before he made it because I assumed that's the direction you were going to go there, and I think it's a very good pick. I'm going to continue at wide receiver here, and you know what? Last time when we looked at Ottawa, I kind of went between two guys, and I took the one with the safer floor and maybe less of the boom bust, and I think this time I'm going to go to the opposite, and I'm going to go get me a piece of that Hamilton Tiger Cats offense and go with I could go Kenny Lawler, I could go Tim White. Typically, I'm a Tim White guy, but what does Bo Levi Mitchell love to do? He loves to throw the deep ball here and there, whether his arm strength is there for it or not. Gets debated often, but you can't tell me that he's not going to try to throw a deep ball into double coverage for Kenny Lawler to come down with in game 1 of the CFL season this year and often throughout this season. So I'm going to take wide receiver Kenny Lawler of the Hamilton Tiger Cats. Mike, your thoughts on that pick, and then after that, give us your first pick of your back-to-back, and before you give the second one, we'll do a quick rundown of where everybody's at roster-wise.
Yeah, it's a very good pick, Ryan. I like your receiver group a lot. Some underrated guys there. So yeah, the thing that I'm most interested in is can Kenny Lawler stay healthy? When healthy, he can put out a circus. When not, he misses 6 games. But you know what? With your receiving core, I think you can afford to put a little bit of wait and see on Lawler, and they got both some more toys. So I'm hoping you and I both pick up a lot of points when that connection goes to work. With this pick, Team Daryl, I just have to do some quick mathematics here. Okay, yeah. So for the next round, my next pick, Team Daryl, proud to select from the Ottawa Red Blacks. He's back in the East. William Stanback. Not the ideal pick for Team Daryl at this juncture, but running backs a dime a dozen. So what I'm gonna do is allow Ryan to do his breakdown before I possibly break this podcast.
Well, I'm very intrigued to hear what that's going to mean, so we'll get there in a second. Thoughts on William Stanback? Yeah, I think he had a fantastic year last year. You know, it was a bit of a resurgent where it seemed like he was aging a little bit. Good fit for that Ottawa team. My only gripe here, Mike, you could have had him in round 11 because everybody else has all of the running backs off the board already. So.
Yeah, that's what I was looking for, and I didn't want to chance it.
Fair enough, and I figured that's why we'll get to the rundown now. So hope I have done everything correctly here. Through the first 4 rounds plus 2 keepers of the draft, everybody has quarterbacks except for me. I'm still at 0, so I'll be saving those for the final rounds of the draft. Everybody has 2 running backs except for Mike. You now have 1 after the selection of William Stanback. At wide receiver, Mike, you have 3 of your 5. I have 4 of 5. Adam and Trey are at 2. And kicker and defense, nobody has selected yet. Everybody is already at their 2 nationals on the board so far. As we head into round number 5, Mike, go ahead and break the podcast as you suggest.
All right. Well, to break the podcast, it's going to wait till round 11. I'm going to put a little more suspense into the system. But that's pick. We're going to pill country for this one. Pains me, absolutely pains me to pick a Saskatchewan Roughriders as my phone kind of goes blank. But we're going to pick from the Saskatchewan Roughriders. Not Sam Emelis, that he was already picked. Give me a dive that I am very, very high on. But had a pretty good start to the season. Pretty good end of the season, particularly in Regina from the Saskatchewan Roughriders, Keyshawn Johnson. He's going to play in that position where I think he's going to get a lot of balls thrown his way. In a receiving core that is missing Sean Bain for the first part of the season. I think alongside Sam Emelis, a lot of balls to be thrown Keyshawn's way to start. But perhaps the one other guy, which we'll probably talk about later.
I like the pick. Keyshawn Johnson was on my team down the stretch, was one of the guys that gave me hope I was maybe going to catch Adam last year as he kept putting up touchdown after touchdown late in the season. He's definitely a breakout wide receiver in the CFL, so excited for that this year. I'm going to go and finish off my 5 wide receivers in the main round of the draft here. And I'm going to go to a team that should be much improved offensively this year. And I think everybody on this podcast is sleeping on based on listening to last week's season preview show that Trey and Adam had done. I'm going to go to the Calgary Stampeders, who have Vernon Adams Jr. at quarterback, and give me wide receiver Reggie Begelton in this year's draft. I mean, last year, Begelton with Jake Mayer as his main quarterback. And who else got in there at quarterback last year? Matt Schultz, I think, a few times. Logan Bonner had a start or two in there. Well, Reggie Begelton still finished 5th in the CFL in receiving yards at 1,150 last year, despite Mayer throwing 6-yard passes constantly throughout the season. So, by the way, that's your new backup quarterback, Adam. Look forward to that. In Saskatchewan. Give me Reggie Begelton. I mean, we saw what he did with Bo Levi Mitchell in the past. We've seen what he can do with Mayer. Now he's got VA throwing it to him, and they've got a stacked receiving core in Calgary, I believe. I think they're one of the top receiving cores in CFL, and I think Begelton's the best piece of that. So I will round out my receiving core with the Bagel Man.
Great pickup. I mean, he was on my team last year also and got me quite a few yards. I mean, he was always consistent there. I definitely would like to keep him, but couldn't. I mean, just you're only allowed two holders. So Begelton, unfortunately, goes to Team Ryan. That being said, I am going to go and bring back one of my players from last year. And I think if he goes and does what he does in the second half and actually figures out how to do it in the first half, I think he'll be a great player to have on my team. It's definitely going to be a part of the King's Court. It will be from the Hamilton Tiger Cats, Tim White. Again, not a good starter, not really a great first half of the season guy, but once he gets going, there's a lot of footballs that Bo Levi Mitchell is going to be throwing this year, and he loves to throw them, and Tim White is one of those guys that he has some experience with, definitely has some chemistry with, and I think that's mainly why I like Tim White, maybe even a little bit better than Kenny Lawler, to be honest with you.
Trey, your thoughts?
You're muted.
I think you're muted.
Definitely muted. Still muted.
Oh, I haven't done that in a while. Can you hear me now? Okay, perfect.
Yep.
Yeah, that was definitely somebody on my definitely was coming up on my potential draft board here. I do like it, but I think that receiving core in Hamilton got really crowded really quick. So who knows? But I definitely think some of those guys could have a breakout game here and there, and Tim White could be one of them. And it's my pick now, huh? Give me 1 second because the Montreal Alouettes website's not translating to English, so I don't know what position I'm looking at right now.
All right, we'll give you a quick second to sort that out. I just want to elaborate on what you were saying there with that receiving core being so crowded in Hamilton. That was very much a concern of mine. I thought the Ticats receivers were going to go early in the draft. I mean, you guys each kept one of them. Trey with Keandre Smith, Mike with Shamar Bridges, and kind of picking one of them is not really getting you an advantage over anybody else. It's just leveling the playing field, and it's going to be whichever receiver succeeds on any given week. So this will be very interesting that all 4 of us have one of the Ticats' top wide receivers.
Yep. So yeah, we're all good now. which is going to be funny because I'm not even going to draft a Montreal Alouette in this pick here. A little misdirection for you guys. I'm going to go to a team that I think is going to be a lot better in Alberta, but not a team that Ryan thinks is going to, well, not the team Ryan talks about. I'm going to go up north to the Double E, the Edmonton Elks, and I'm going to take a Canadian receiver by the name of Curly Gittens Jr. Add a little bit of Canadian depth to my receiving core. I think Trey Ford's going to have to rely on a guy like this. Maybe even Fajardo might have to rely on a guy like this if Fajardo gets some playing time. So I want to see what I want Gittens Jr. to take that next step. He was doing really good in Toronto. Hasn't quite been the same going to Edmonton, but I think the time's come. Give me 1 second to write this down.
Adam, your thoughts on Curly Gittens Jr. in the meantime? You are muted now, Adam. Do this one more time and we're going to have to strip you of your kingship or something.
I'd like you to try, Surf. Anyways, nevertheless, no, national receiver. I mean, you could never have enough good nationals. Curly Gittens Jr. is one of the better receivers in the league. And he doesn't have Eugene Lewis breathing over his shoulder all day. So he could be poised for a big year. I think it's a good pick.
Awesome. And we're sticking with me then to kick off round 6. You know what? Now we'll go to the Alouettes. I think we're going to go to a receiver that kind of came out of nowhere, if I recall, a little bit last year. I like his last name. Give me Charleston Rambo. Ended up having a pretty good year. Like I said, kind of came out of nowhere, I thought, like kind of a new name to the league. Again, we'll see what happens in Montreal with a newer quarterback, and I think that this guy could get some playing time. And you know, Phil Potts have both kind of been some injury problems, so there could be some potential there in the Montreal receiving core.
I agree. I mean, Charleston Rambo's got the best name in the league because nobody wants to mess with Rambo. Who wants to mess with a guy named Rambo? But nevertheless, you know what? I think he's a good American receiver. They need some help there. I think Montreal, they've got one of the better teams. If they can get the football off, I think they're going to be a very good team. So Rambo's definitely going to have a pretty good season. However, I'm not looking at Montreal right now. I am looking where Ryan was looking at one time, and I think I'm going to go with a guy that's poised, and everybody keeps saying he's going to have one of those seasons finally. And Vernon Adams Jr. seems to be going and making a lot of chemistry with this guy. And, oh, by the way, he's a national as well, because that just helps a little bit too. I am going to go with Jalen Philpo of the Calgary Stampeders. I think it's a great pick. I like the guy's chances. I think Calgary's going to have him go if they want to go anywhere. And I think that Vernon Adams is a guy that likes to get it out to those kind of guys. So, yeah, give me Philpo.
I think it's a great pick. He was my number 10 receiver on our top 10 receivers episode for 2025. I think he's going to have a huge year in Calgary as well as part of that receiving core. I also really like the Rambo pick from Trey before that. If I could take a 6th wide receiver in the main draft here, Rambo was going to be that guy. I really wanted him and then realized I still had Baggleton out there and I just couldn't take him over Baggleton. But I think he was especially efficient with Davis Alexander at quarterback last year. So I like both of those picks at receiver there. I can't take any more receivers at this point in the draft because I have all 5 of mine off the board. I'm not going to take quarterbacks yet because that would be pointless since you can't take any of them, which means I get to be the first one to go into the land nobody wants to venture, which is the defense and the kickers. And this is a hard one every year to pick between, but I'm going to go with the one I picked early in the draft last year, and I'm going to go back to it because I thought it was productive. And they're stacked on the defensive side of the ball, and I'm going to go to the Montreal Alouettes and take them as my defense, first defense off the board here in this draft. Mike, over to you.
Yeah, I really, really like that pick, Ryan. I was contemplating that in my last round, maybe even this round. But no, defenses to me pretty interested in that way. I'm gonna make my next pick here. Can you scroll if you can, Ryan, just to the numbers? Who needs what here, just so I can that's not showing up properly for me. So I need what? So is that one wide receiver?
You need one wide receiver, one running back, two kickers, two defense.
Okay. I'm gonna get the most accurate long kicker in the Canadian Football League. He's aging a little bit, but when you need a big deep field goal, more times than not, this guy punches through. From the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, Sergio Castillo. There is, in my mind, and I could be biased, no more better kicker. Although Rider fans may argue that Brett Lothar might be the better one, but apparently they're about to run him out of town, depending on who you talk to. We'll
wholeheartedly agree with you anything because Lawler misses a 30-yard field goal. He ain't in the league equivalent.
Well, it's interesting, right? Because he can miss a 30-yarder, you think his confidence is shattered, and then he hits a 50-something yarder. Where did that come from, right? But anyway, no. And then, boy, hate to do this. This is a defense I really, really like, but nobody seems to really be talking about based on what I saw in the preseason. We're going to Pale Country for defense. Give me the Rider defense.
Yeah, that was one of the defenses in consideration for me as well. And I think Castillo was also one of the kickers in consideration for me. Probably would have been my first kicker off the board for the long points. We have two members of the draft that are currently on the phone with one another, I believe. I'm not sure what that conversation is particularly about since trading is closed till after the draft, but I assume as soon as we complete round 16 of this draft, we will find out what the result of that was.
I was ordering pizza, boys. I don't know what you're talking about.
Last I checked, Burger King doesn't serve pizza, if you were calling Adam.
Oh, was Adam on his phone? I didn't even realize. I was just trying to get the pizza here before the end of the draft.
All right, moving on.
Prove it. Prove it.
Check the call logs, everybody. Cannot wait to see what.
Oh, now I gotta change I got my kickers gone and now my defense is gone. That was coming up. So thanks, Mike.
Pleasure to be of assistance, bud.
All right, we go back to me for round number 7, and I'm going to take my first kicker off the board here as well, and I'm going to go to I got to put the hat back on because I'm going to the BC Lions, and I'm taking kicker Sean White. He was most accurate kicker in the CFL last year. He was on my roster last season as well, and in your intro there, Adam, you talked about my BC triple stack a little bit. Well, I've got it back again this year, just a little bit different with Butler, McInnes, and Sean White. I think BC's offense will be I think Rourke will have a strong comeback year this year, and he'll be able to move the ball downfield. I have some concerns over the receiving core in BC. So if that offense does stall at any point in that drive, well, it's in Sean White field goal range and he can put some points on the board. So I will take him as my first kicker off the board here in round number 7.
I mean, great pick. I mean, Sean White is one of the most accurate kickers other than Castillo. I mean, he's one of the best in the league. And I mean, I can't see how either one of them is really a bad pickup. I think both Sean White and Castillo are good pickups. Unfortunately, it really messed me up with my defenses because I thought that Mike maybe would avoid a defense at this point. But I guess if he wants to pick defenses, I guess we'll go and I'll select the next defense, which is going to come from the West. And I think that this team is going to be playing a lot of defense, unfortunately. And I'm just hoping that he gets lots of interceptions because of it. I'm going to go with the Edmonton Elks for the defense. I think that there's something there. They've got some good pieces in. They've got Jake Seresna now back in the fold. They've got Anderson there. They've got some great linebackers. I think this team is really willing to do something here on the defense. Their offense, I don't really know if they're going to do much, but hey, defense wins championships, right, Trey?
Oh, 100%. 100%. No, that's an interesting one. I could see them being improved. Definitely wasn't 100% on my radar, but I like that. But I'm going to continue the theme here of defenses as they come off the board. Let's see here. I'm going to go to one that might be the most infuriating defense in the existence of my life. If I hear the term bend, don't break, I'm going to snap my whiteboard over Ryan's head. Give me the Winnipeg Blue Bomber defense. I think they got enough juice in them one more year. They got some of their key pieces back, minus Tyrell Ford, but they kept the Saskatchewan offense pretty quiet in 2 preseason games. So let's see what they do over the next 20. And let's keep rolling. We're already an hour 15 into this. I need a kicker. And we are going to go to somebody. Well, I think Mike tried saying his name earlier tonight. Liram Erilahu from the Toronto Argonauts. I got very familiar trying to say that name after a bunch of beers when he played in Winnipeg. So Erilahu, I think I had him pretty high on our kicker list if we did a couple weeks ago, if not 1 or 2.
I believe he was number 1 on your list.
Yeah. So he's pretty solid. If he spent some time down south, he's been around the league. I think he'll be adding some 3 points here and there, maybe some rouges. We count rouges?
No.
No, that's okay. We'll be getting some field goals. Oh, who's Mike texting? Oh, he's on his phone. Why is no one mad at him?
Oh, sorry. I was just texting Mike about plans for after the draft. Adam, your thoughts on trade picks?
I would hope that includes going to Burger King. Not saying this whole setup, but nevertheless. You know what? I like the pick. Liam Hiralahu is actually a really good pickup. He's been a pretty accurate kicker. I think that there's some other kickers, though, that I think I maybe would have picked over Liam Hiralahu. And that one is a former Winnipeg Blue Bomber. And this one here is going to probably get a lot of single-point converts to kick this season. Give me Justin Medlock of the Hamilton Tiger Cats.
Are you sure, Adam?
Why?
Do you want to pick the retired Winnipeg Football Hall of Famer Justin Medlock?
Too late. Too late. You said it. No, too late.
Tiger Cats.
Go.
Come on.
Too late.
That's cruel and unusual punishment.
Sucks to suck. You shouldn't have.
Who was the actual pick?
Deals off, Trey. Deals off. That's all I can say.
There's no deal.
Maybe you should have spent more time checking the active kicker lists than
I did. I
calling
just
Trey.
absolutely said it wrong. I literally have the page open right now. And
Who
I
are you
literally
picking?
said it wrong.
You were all good with former Blue Bomber and everything. Just complete wrong name.
Dude, if I don't get one name wrong in this podcast, I don't get paid.
It's not an episode of the podcast unless Adam does.
That's exactly it. Be glad somebody picked up Justin Hardy because I won't be saying Jake Hardy every time.
I was just trying to do you a solid, to be honest. No, I like the pick of Mark Leggio as well. I think he I think he's a good pickup there. I am higher on him than I feel like a lot of people are. I feel like he gets a lot of flack, but I think he's a solid kicker and just had a bad year that year in Winnipeg. We go back to me here. A couple of kickers left on the board, a couple of defenses left on the board. I'm a little concerned about the run of defenses that have happened because I got my top one in Montreal, but Adam and Trey took my next 2 in Edmonton and Winnipeg, and actually Saskatchewan was number 4 on my list. So now I got to drop to number 5 and hope that before anybody takes them away from me as well. And I'm going to go to the Toronto Argonauts on defense here also. Yes, definitely concerns that they have lost some pieces, but I think they've lost pieces a number of years in a row now and still find the diamonds in the rough to make them strong and competitive. And when you've got Wynton McManus in the middle of that defense, when you've got did Cameron Judge go back to Toronto now, if I'm remembering correctly? Yeah, so you've got those two in the middle of the defense. You've got some bright young players in that secondary as well that are going to step up. And Toronto's that defense that might give up a bunch of points and might give up a bunch of yards and stuff like that, and that will hurt me a little bit. But then they'll come up with the big turnovers and the pick sixes that end up leading to points. So give me the Argos to round out my defensive core here as we go back to Mike for your 8th pick. And everybody's got to do it at least once tonight but me. Mike, you are muted.
Yeah, I saw that right away. Give me a sleeper team that I think can do a lot of damage this year. Ryan, I think you're heading this way with your fantasy team in short order. We're about to find out. Anchored by a good offense, you need a good defense. Give me the Ottawa Red Blacks. And that defense is going to win the East Division this year. You heard me. And now with the Nets pick of the 9th round, Ryan, if you could just reset to the what we need, I want to make sure I got it all. So I need a running back.
A running back, a wide. So we've got, just to reset for everybody, we're now into the final 3 rounds of the main draft here. Mike needs a running back, wide receiver, and a kicker. I need 2 quarterbacks and a kicker. Adam needs a wide receiver, a kicker, and a defense, and so does Trey.
All right. This might be a bit of a reach at wide receiver, but it's worth a try since a team that I think did not get in a lot of respect when you talked about VA wanting to air the ball out. It's a guy that has a lot of emotional injury baggage from the last couple of years. Give me the one and only Billy Henry of the Calgary Stampeders. And I think that's to Reggie Bagleton and Phil Paul. He is reliable number 3 as far as the Calgary wide receivers go.
Now, my sources in the CFC Discord have told me recently that Malik Henry is on the 6-game injured list currently. Is that something you were aware of when making the pick, Mike, or does that change your mind?
No. Do I want to change my pick? That is actually, if it's okay, I will change my pick.
I'm good with that if the rest of the crew is.
Yeah, I was not aware of that. I have not looked at that part of the Discord today. That being said, I would like to add from the Montreal Alouettes, we talked about really, 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 really good receivers. Give me a 1,200 yard receiver who didn't come up with a bunch of clutch catches. Cole Speaker. I just think this guy's about to have a massive breakout, probably in a crowded wide receiver room. But Cole Speaker to me has just, when called upon, been large.
Yeah, I like the pick there as well. I would have liked Malik Henry if he was healthy because, I mean, if he could return to form, he is going to be he used to be one of the top receivers.
Right, and that's exactly why I was hesitant to even return it. But I didn't think Speaker might not be around the next time it comes back to me. My thinking.
Fair enough. I do like the pick of Cole Speaker here to round out your main draft receiver crew here. Mike, I still need my kicker. I need my 2 quarterbacks. I'm going to round out the kicker here and then do the quarterbacks back to back for me. So I got the most accurate kicker in the CFL last year with my first pick. Give me the second most accurate kicker, and that is Rene Paredes as my second kicker off the board here.
I like that a lot, Ryan. I think this could be a team that hits a lot of field goals.
How's that allowed? I've had Rene Paredes for the last 3 years in a row.
Well, you only had him 2 years ago because Trey traded him to you for nothing. But
well, fair enough. But I mean, he's kept them for 2 years in a row. Nevertheless, that makes me decide if I want a kicker, but I don't want a kicker right now. And I really don't. You know what? I think I'm going to take this guy just because I don't know what Trey's going to do soon. And he's the only one that I'm really worried about what he may do. Because I think he could go crazy. And I'm counting out my picks. I've got 2 from the West for wide receivers. I've got 2 from the East. Could you just go up to the top there and look at how many players for each guy for one moment?
Like position?
Yeah, position-wise. Wide receiver. Yeah, he could pick him. You know what? I'm going to pick him and just take a chance that he doesn't. So from the Saskatchewan Roughriders, I will take Keon Schaefer-Baker, the playmaker, number 89, and number 1 in all of Saskatchewan's heart. And by the way, he's 100% healthy now. He's not on the active or on the injury list or nothing. He's ready to rumble, and yeah, I could see him having a huge year this year.
Trey seems distressed.
That was my plan. That was the plan. That he's devastated and now maybe wants to make a trade that he was supposed to be making earlier, but decided to go and screw me around a little bit. So we'll see what happens here. Yep, there's the notification.
Anyway, we're going to go here to my next draft pick. I don't know what Adam's talking about. I was just texting the wife goodnight. It's nothing important. Let's round things out here. I'm going to finish off and get my last defense. Give me Oski Wee Wee. I'll take the Hamilton Tiger Cat defense. And then, I don't know what I was going to do here because my second pick, I was going to go for a kicker. And Ryan took the one I wanted, and everyone else, I don't even know who the hell they are. Hell with it. Let's take whoever Vincent Blanchard is. I don't know. Let's take him. I didn't even know that was a guy in the CFL. So welcome to the team, kid. That'll be an awkward phone call when you call him up and say you've been drafted.
He won the kicking job in Edmonton this year.
Cool. What did he do? Did he do the kick, the 50-yard Wendy's kick and get the job or what? Oh, man.
I have a question. Who is the incumbent hitter in Edmonton last year?
It was Boris Beatty last year who was released.
Interesting how far that guy has fallen.
Yeah, he was one of the most accurate kickers in the CFL 2 years ago.
I hate to pull out my average line, but dime a dozen might suit the occasion here.
All right, Adam, we go back to you for your second last pick of the main round of the draft here. Any thoughts on Vincent Blanchard for you here, Adam? Tap the microphone.
There, am I muted again or unmuted again? Yeah, I don't know. He's a kicker. That I know. Don't know nothing about him, honestly. I hope he's kind of successful, I suppose. I don't know. I don't have much faith in bringing in a guy from nowhere, but hey, you know what? I've got my choice of whatever's left of the defenses, I suppose. We'll maybe do that in the next round just for some added suspense, even though I know who I'm picking already, and I'm hoping that they're just ball hawks. But yeah, I'll go with kicker first because why not? This guy still can kick 53 yarders. We've seen that there in preseason game. I hate keeping on taking guys in green it doesn't look good on me as much anymore. I used to always like taking a lot of green guys, but this one sucks that I have to take him because I don't know if he's really as good as he used to be. I hope he's got it, but yeah, I'm going to take kicker Brett Lowther from the Saskatchewan Roughriders.
Kind of figured that was the direction you were going to go there. I mean, he had a good streak to end last season, right? So we'll see if he can continue that going into this year. Now we get to the point of the draft where I finally select a quarterback, and it feels like quite the disservice to draft these guys in the 10th and the 11th round, and it's not a knock on their talent at all. It's just that I didn't need to draft them because nobody could take them from me. I had 3 quarterbacks last year that I thought about keeping them. My highest one I actually want to draft here was none of those guys. This is a guy that showed some promise last year, had an up and down season, down the stretch of the year, really lit it up when his defense didn't give him any help at all. And I still have some concerns over the defense in Ottawa. And we saw Drew Brown through a couple 400-yard games last season, including down the stretch. And I expect him to take another step forward this year with Eugene Lewis added to that receiving core as well. So give me quarterback Drew Brown.
I did just jump in here, Ryan. I love that pick, only from a standpoint that I think it was a really tough year for Drew. He lost so much. He lost a bit. He lost some playing time because of injury, and I think it was his first foray into starting. He didn't have a massive year, which is part of the reason why I'm actually so high on the Red Blots, especially with Geno Lewis. So, I mean, I considered taking him, but yeah. No, I like that pick a lot.
All right, we go over to you, Mike, for your back-to-back picks to end off the main round of the draft. Do you need a running back and a kicker?
I need a kicker?
Kickers left on the board, I believe, at this point in the draft are Lewis, Ward, and Jose
Oh,
Malcolm.
yeah, okay. Yeah, I'll take Lewis Ward. Yeah, I was going to take him a few rounds ago, but for some reason I didn't quite register. All right. Here is at the point of the draft where things can go a little bit cuckoo. I inquired earlier if I was going to be breaking any rules doing this. The answer I got back was no. So team might draft the playing rates to Walter Fletcher. And this is quite simply because I don't think this guy is going to be a free agent much longer. And I think he is one of the best running backs when given the proper opportunity to do so. To me, this has kind of Calgary written all over it, but we'll see what happens in the next couple of days.
I like the pick. Walter Fletcher, I mean, I hope he lands somewhere. I don't know what room he fits into. That's my problem with a couple of these guys that got cut here, but I think everybody was shocked to see him cut after he basically was one of Montreal's top receivers last year. Had like 700 yards on the ground, 700 through the air there as well. So I do like the pick and hope it pans out for you there, Mike. Maybe would have left it for the bonus rounds. A little concerned, perhaps, that's your second running back is currently not on a team, and hopefully your starting running back's not on a bye week in week 1 or 2 of the season.
Yeah, there's always opportunity for adjustments.
All right, we go back to me for my final pick of the main round of the draft, and I've got 2 starting quarterbacks to choose between. One is Davis Alexander, one is Trevor Harris, and I'm going to go with Davis Alexander because I don't trust Trevor Harris at his current age with his injury history. And I am actually decently high on Davis Alexander. I think Montreal made the right move in moving on from Fajardo and keeping him for the next couple of years. I think he's developed pretty well. Obviously, some concerns with the backup situation with McLeod Bethel-Thompson of same thing, similar to Trey Ford, is if the backup is a known commodity, how long is the leash? But I think Davis Alexander can have a very good year developmentally in Montreal this year. So I will take him in the final round of this draft as my quarterback. Adam, thoughts from you? And then I believe you need another defense.
You know what? I like Davis Alexander. I think he's a great quarterback. I just the only concern I've got about him is he's a rookie, technically a rookie. If he's going to be okay, he'll be good. But he also has a very veteran quarterback right behind him. And I'm wondering still how long that leash is until Jason Moss decides, you know what, the heck with this, and brings in McLeod Bethel Thompson. I think it's a long leash, to be honest with you. So I think it'll be a good pick, and I hope David Alexander has a great season, and we talk about him maybe for an MOP run. Be cool. I just wish he was on my team then when he has the MOP run, but nevertheless, can't control that one. Team defense, I really don't like picking these guys because I've seen them give up a lot of yards in the last few years. But they also can be bull hawks once in a while when they want to be. Plus, now their best defensive lineman or linebacker, I guess as you would call him, has had a full season of training camp. That was with the Detroit Lions this year, and he starts with the pick of mine, the BC Lions. I'm going to take them as my defense. I don't like this either because I'm trying to balance my team, and I had to take two West teams. So I don't like that for the defense either. But got to do what you got to do.
It's not like that they're going to eliminate each other. It's not like a playoff hockey pool or a playoff football pool where your teams are going to eliminate each other, Adam. They're going to play the same number of games regardless of division.
But if you look, sometimes there's like a full West division that has a bye week.
So I did look that up coming into this draft this year because that is potentially topical. There are 3 weeks this season that have 3 teams on bye. Week 6 has Winnipeg, Toronto, and Montreal. Week 13 has BC, Ottawa, and Montreal. And week 18 has Winnipeg, Edmonton, and Montreal. So interestingly, every time Montreal is on a bye week is at the same time as another team, which also means I just noticed that week 13, I do need to find a quarterback because both my quarterbacks are on bye. But we'll cross that bridge when we get there.
That's your bar bridge?
It's too late into the podcast for jokes like that, Adam. We still have 5 rounds to go after this pick, and it's already an hour and 36 minutes. And this might be record length for a normal podcast episode. But we go to Trey next to round out.
Yeah. I'm all thrown off. I don't know. I don't want to be that guy, but I'm going to put Mike's pick under protest because I thought it was previously discussed we couldn't, but I'll let it go and we'll talk about it in the offseason.
I don't think it was ever discussed, no.
I feel like I tried drafting someone that was unsigned last year, but that's okay. Anyway, we'll just go. Is the DeMonte Coxey drafted?
Nope.
I'll take him.
All right. Why DeMonte Coxey?
Oh, he was like 800 plus yards. I think that, you know, it's very interesting receiving core. I guess DeVaris Daniels would be pretty good, but they've lost Polk, lost a couple other pieces, so I think the ball's got to go somewhere.
Yeah, I believe that's the first Argos receiver off the board in this draft, so not a bit surprising, I guess, that none of them were drafted until the last pick of the regular round. But as I always say, the Argos receivers are, they're a bunch of solid guys, but not necessarily upper echelon of the league. And I think Coxey is the best option out of them there. So I like the pick.
To be honest, I think there are a whole bunch of, I don't know what you did yet. Like, it's not like one guy gets 150 yards every week, right? It's one guy 1 week, one guy another week, third guy another week, etc.
Absolutely. Okay, that concludes the regular draft. Now we get into the 5 bonus rounds. By the way, nice comment in the chat there saying it's a lot of fun to listen to. Thank you for tuning in and joining us on this journey. It's a lot of fun to host this fantasy draft every year, and I do agree. I wish the CFL would host this kind of fantasy football as well, so I didn't have to manage everything through spreadsheets. That would be very nice if that was the case. Okay, everybody now has 2 quarterbacks, 2 running backs, 5 wide receivers, 2 kickers, 2 defenses, and at least 2 nationals on their roster. Now we get to the 5 bonus rounds, which we'll kick off with Trey as we continue the snake draft and go back to the start here. And as a reminder, in this round, you can you're not allowed to draft any defenses or kickers, so that we leave at least one possible one on the waiver wire always. And you can draft quarterbacks, running backs, and wide receivers. Max 2 additional quarterbacks, max 2 additional running backs in these 5 rounds. Unlimited number of nationals and no requirements for additional nationals beyond your regular roster. If everybody's good with that, then let's kick off the bonus round of the draft here and go back to Trey to continue the snake draft. You get the first bonus pick.
All right. I could go a couple different ways with this, but I'm going to save my craziness for maybe later. And we're going to get another Canadian off the board back to the Argos. Give me Mayala.
RG Mayala?
Yeah, Mayala. There we go.
All right. Any thoughts on Hergy Mayala?
He's kind of a victim of circumstance wherever he's gone. But he was so highly regarded, I think it was in Calgary at one point. But the team has just never really allowed him a good run of play consistently enough. Maybe one of the more underutilized Canadian talents in the league, just in my opinion, when it comes to Herdy Mayala.
Absolutely. Agreed. Adam, we go to you for your first bonus pick. Muted. Still muted. We're crushing it tonight, by the way.
Huh?
We're crushing it collectively tonight, by the way.
Oh, absolutely. I mean,
we start the podcast half hour later than normal and just everything goes out the window.
Yeah, exactly. And then I end up dressed like this. So, yeah. You know what? I'm going to take a little bit of a fly on the wall and hope that maybe this works, and hope the 3 Down Nation actually knows what they're talking about, which is never a good thing to draft on. But you know what? What the heck? I'm going to go give them the opportunity. From the Montreal Alouettes, Team Adams selects running back Sean Thomas Erlington. National.
Yeah, you're going a full Canadian at running back, I guess, almost, because you got Brady Oliveira, you got Sean Thomas Erlington. I mean, that's a ratio-breaking bonus pick there for you. And back in 2019, you had 4 really good starts, but injury trouble since then.
A key word, if it works, because I don't know if he's going to be the starting running back eventually. It could be Scott II, or it could be there was a guy with a T that started with a T that is a really good Thies, I think it is, or Thies.
Yeah.
That really could probably win this job. But from what it sounds like, Erlington had an amazing camp. He's going to start as the running back, and then we'll see where this goes.
I like it. Well, I just talked about how I need to figure out what I'm going to do in week number 13 when both of my quarterbacks are on bye. So I'm going to figure that out right now and take the only starting quarterback left on the board here at this point in the draft. Give me 3 starters to choose from. Trevor Harris as being the last quarterback off the board is a bit of a disservice to him, because last year when he was healthy, Trevor Harris was well on his game, and when he's on his game, he produces really well. When he's off his game, he has terrible outings. But I think he's got the supporting cast around him to be a really good quarterback still at his age, even if he can stay healthy. So, as my 3rd quarterback in the draft, might as well take him there. Give me Trevor Harris of the Riders. Mike, over to you for back-to-back picks. You should hit the unmute button. I'm not editing this podcast, by the way. Folks, I apologize for all of this, but I am not editing out all the unmutes because it is already 11:23 p.m.
Yeah, no, I will. I'm just deciding what I want to do here. Let's go from the Toronto Argonauts, a receiver that might be poised for a breakout this year. This might be a bit of a reach at this point in the draft, but who really knows what the way the Argos play their defense or play their receivers? Give me from the Toronto Argonauts. Hold on just 1 second here. I want to make sure I get the name right. Yeah. It's going to be Deshaun Brissett. I think he's also a national.
Correct.
If I'm not mistaken. Just shoring up the defense just a little bit.
Receivers.
And then, so I just have to do some quick checking what I'm going to do for my next pick here. Sorry, I just need. Actually, I'll come back to them. I think they may or may not be around. What I'm going to do for the next round is protect myself a teeny tiny bit at running back, since Adam took the guy that I was looking at, Mr. King. I'm going to go to the Edmonton Elks. I'm going to take running back. You have to help me out. I think it's that.
Javon Leake.
Yeah, thank you. It's Javon Leake, the former Argonaut. I was thinking about the Thunder and Lightning, and I couldn't think of the other guy's name. Javon Leake for me would be the running back.
I like to pick there as well. I think there was a decent chance, like I said earlier, when Adam picked Justin Rankin, that he could split some time in that backfield. So I think it's a good fit. You do not get points for kick returns from Javon Leake, but I do think he is going to be an integral part of that offense still.
I also think he's an injury away from being a pretty big contributor.
Absolutely. Going back to me here for my pick, I'm going to stick with the Edmonton Elks, and I'm pretty excited to see that this guy has not been drafted because I think he's a top 5 Canadian receiver in the CFL. And I'm going to Kion Julian Grant, who was formerly with the Montreal Alouettes. I think he's going to be play a huge part of that offense in Edmonton. They don't have a ton of options in depth at wide receiver, I feel like. And I think he is going to really be able to produce there for Trey Ford. Trey Ford also likes to do the deep ball quite a bit, and I think he's a guy that's proven that he can come down with those quite often. So I will add him to my receiving core to give me a little bit of depth at the national position. Adam. Tap the microphone. At this point in the draft, everybody just leave your microphones unmuted.
Fair enough. Anyways, Julian Grant, honestly, good pickup. I mean, he's going to a new team. He's going to probably play a big role in there. I'm going to do the one that I maybe shouldn't do, but you know what? I think an injury might make this guy a lot more exposed, and he was starting to light it up last season, and I thought he did very well when he had the opportunities. Team Adam from in the second round of the supplemental draft selects from the Ottawa Red Blacks, Khalil Pilton. Again,
my initial question is I'm surprised nobody took him, or my initial comment is that nobody really took him earlier, which is shocking.
This is my Justin Hardy pick from last year. I'll be honest. This is the guy that I think is really going to have a great year, and he's going to get me a lot of points, even though he was a bonus pick.
I like it. I like it. Trey?
Oh, right. Sorry, my turn. Let's see here. I got back-to-back picks, right? Oh, we'll go with the first one. We're going to get another Canadian here. we're going to dive into this Hamilton Tiger Cats receiving core a little bit and take the, I don't know, lead guitarist wonder Drew Wolortarski, add to that Canadian depth a little bit. I could see him. He was that weird guy even in Winnipeg where he wasn't flashy, but he'd always get a wild touchdown here and there. And I think he'll kind of be a similar thing in this Tiger Cats offense. And then back to me, well, I'm going to take the starter in week 2 for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Give me Chris Trebler. And that's self-explanatory. I just don't want Adam to have him.
I don't know if Adam was ever going to actually take him, but that remains to be seen.
You beat me to the punch, Trey. You totally got him before I could. I just don't know what I'm possibly going to do without Chris Treffler. Anybody sense the sarcasm? No? None? Okay. Anyway, I'm going to look a little bit here because I'm starting to think of guys that I would like to pick, but don't know if I should. You know what? I am going to go again. I think I'm going to go with another quarterback because just in case Chad Kelly is hurt or he is still maybe not 100%, you got to have a backup plan. And this guy here did win Toronto a Grey Cup. If nothing else, I'll cut him later. I'm not too concerned. In this time right now, though, I will go with Nick Arbuckle of the Toronto Argonauts. Just because I have a funny feeling I might need a quarterback sooner than later.
Nick Arbuckle, the Grey Cup MVP of the 2024 Grey Cup, and obviously questions of Chad Kelly's health. So it makes sense to get his backup, assuming you're keeping Chad Kelly on your roster, which I still don't 100% believe is the case. But, I think there are deals potentially in place there. Not a bad idea to get the insurance policy there with Arbuckle. We go back to me next, and I'm gonna go to the running back position here. And much like the quarterback with Trevor Harris, I'm gonna take the one remaining starter that's off the board and get me 3 starters on my roster. It was a true roller coaster for him last year, and if he can overcome that and still be projected to be the starting running back on the roster and an improved offense, give me running back Dedrick Mills. I was so high on him coming into last year. And there was a lot, was he on the team? I think he took a leave from the team for a bit. There were some maybe arguments with the coach, but then he came back in down the stretch, performed pretty well, and was one of the, finished 4th in the league in rushing yards with 923 yards in 13 games only. So I will take Dedrick Mills and continue taking Calgary Stampeders. Mike.
Yeah, I didn't even know that. I didn't even realize that he was still technically available. Otherwise, I would have looked for him earlier. But to me, I just don't know what you did yet from the guy, personally, which is why I kind of forgot about him. But yeah, no, that's interesting. For me, this Nets pick might come as a bit of a shock to some. He had a really good year. People might think that, I might be heading in a certain direction for a certain type of team. Truth be told, when this guy hit the lineup, he really, really impressed me. From the Saskatchewan Roughriders, Dante Myers, I think is how it's pronounced. I just think he's got game-breaking speed. And at this point, with my starting receivers pretty much ironed out, depth is always nice to have. And with my Nets pick in this draft, I'm just double-checking. We are allowed to take up to 5 wide receivers, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so I'm going to go for a guy that could be poised for a breakout with the BC Lions. I don't know this guy's first name, but it is Mary Hill Jr.
Stanley Berryhill the third, I believe.
Yeah, Stanley Maryhill Jr. the third ended up on my team last year. Berryhill, pretty interesting pick for me there. Just purely depth at this point.
Yeah, somebody's going to have to step up in that BC receiving core. If, there's question marks about Keon Hatcher. He didn't seem the same after injury last year. Justin McInnes is obviously the mainstay, but I think Berryhill could be one of those guys that steps up and should have a starting role with Nathan Rourke throwing the ball to him there. Where do I want to go next? With my second last pick of the draft is the next question. And you know what? I will go to a guy that probably would have been my fifth or sixth receiver off the board in the draft. And I'm going to continue this stack with the Calgary Stampeders because I always need to go and find one team that I like to stack. And unfortunately, I don't have the quarterback to go alongside it, but I've got Reggie Begelton. Give me Dominic Grimes as well. He's the guy that has the connection with Vernon Adams Jr. going back to their time in BC together. 1,000-yard receiver, and why can't he be that once again here with the Calgary Stampeders?
Are you that high on Calgary, Ryan?
I'm high on their defense is terrible, so they're going to be throwing the ball 40 times a game.
I don't know. To me, that just has a lot of interceptions written all over it.
You can only throw so many interceptions in a game.
No, it's fair.
Vernon Adams has hit the peak of it with 6 already. I mean, how much higher do you want to go?
No, it's just interesting, right? Because you're looking at, presumably the MLP last year before BC decides to bring in Nathan Rourke, and it seemed to derail his. It's interesting. I'm not as high on Calgary as a lot of people are. Maybe they're surprised, and I don't know. It's just something's not right there in Calgary.
To be fair, I still have them finishing 5th place in the West, despite drafting 3 of their team members.
Well, I mean that's fair too.
4
right?
actually, because parodies.
Fair enough.
I don't mind the pick, in all honesty. Dominic Grimes mostly has shown up whenever he gets picked by a team. BC, he was all-star. Then he went to Ottawa, not so much. But you know what? Bound to have a good year this year. Let's hope he does. And he doesn't have some help or doesn't have as much of a challenge for balls because Malik Henry's injured already. So I like the pick for Dominic Grimes. That being said, I'm going to pick a guy that in 20 games has 1,299 yards. Nobody has picked him yet. I cannot believe he hasn't been picked. It is from the Montreal Alouettes, wide receiver, Austin Mack. I think he's bound to. He's got a full training camp this year. He does not come in there halfway through the season to get hurt. He's fully recovered from his injuries. He's ready to go. He's got a new dynamic quarterback that he's worked with probably many a times before. That's a good pickup. I like Austin Mack.
I can never trust him again after I made him my captain one year and he threw 1 week in fantasy and he threw a punch in the first quarter and ended the game with 0 points. Can never pick him again after that.
Good times. Good times.
Trey, your thoughts on Austin Mack and your second last pick?
No, I like the pick. I think that would be a very good one. A guy I kind of forgot about, and I might have been thinking about picking earlier. But again, Montreal's receiving team is pretty full of guys, so it's kind of hard to separate. For my pick here, I'm gonna go. I don't think someone's taken him, so I apologize if they have another Canadian. I don't think I have many on the West Coast. We're gonna go with a receiver here, Javon Katoy. Just gonna keep getting this Canadian receiver depth going. It's I'm pretty stacked at Canadian receiver right now. So
I have a theme song for you, Trey, for your team. Oh, Canada.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I don't know. I'm trying to think of something. I got a theme for you. Unsigned free agent. I don't know. But we'll you know what? My last pick, since we can do it, and I'll take Kadeem Carey because I can't imagine that lasts very long either.
took me a second to try to figure out what to write in there for the team because I remembered he isn't on one currently. Not a bad pick for your last pick in the draft. If it doesn't work out for a little while, you drop him. If it does work out, you land somewhere pretty good running back. Crazy that Kadeem Carey got cut after a 1,000-yard season and the impact he made for the Grey Cup champs. That rounds out Team Trey. And we go to Team Adam for your last pick.
I'm going to go back, I think, to the well of the Montreal Alouettes. I really badly wanted to pick up a free agent player as well. But I don't know if he's coming back, and I hope he doesn't come back. To be honest with you, it was going to be a Joe. I don't know what the status is. I know he's with Indy. I know that they've had him in camp, and I haven't heard anything about him really impressing or really depressing. So I think someday he will be back in Saskatchewan. Will it be this year? Hard to say. I think he might, but I'm going to go with the idea that he won't be. So if that's the case, I'm going to make a little bit more of a safer pick. I wonder, is this guy been picked already? I can't really tell. I'm going to go with Montreal Alouettes and Cole Speaker. I think he's been picked.
Mike did pick him earlier in the couple of rounds.
I was wondering about that. Okay. Then bear with me here because I need to find a draft pick.
All right. Somebody fill a
blank space. Somebody got some blank space to fill.
I mean, well, we can talk about Kadeem Carey briefly because that was the last draft pick there, or Walter Fletcher. Where do we think the landing spot is for these guys? Where is there an opening for a running back to potentially step in? Trey, Mike, any thoughts while Adam thinks of his pick?
Truthfully, I think you're looking at a 1B scenario. And the team I'm thinking about for either one of those guys, either the guy I thought of the guy that we're talking about, is Saskatchewan. Do you really feel behind a lad for you to go with a Bertrand Hudon or Bertrand Hudon or whatever? I think that's how you say it. Used to be a fullback. I don't know. That seems a little suspect for a running back in my mind, but hasn't been able to stay healthy. Now we're all told that it's a different year and AJ is looking pretty good, but to me that would be the one spot where you haven't really seen a running back play a full season there in a while. It's one of those two guys maybe end up in Saskatchewan. Stand back to me probably the more likely. I know it was already discussed. Kadeem Carey to Calgary. I can't see that based on the way things ended before. So it's a lot of. It's interesting how you get beat after having 1,000 yards, and things just make you go, Not saying there's a problem there, but certainly raises an eyebrow.
For sure. Trey, anything you want to weigh in on there on Kadeem Carey, and then we'll get to Adam's pick?
No, it's just one of those weird things. I think we kind of talked about it in the offseason where, like, where does he go? And it's kind of a weird fit. But there's a couple teams like, yeah, Calgary's weird, but I'm not sold on any of the 5 guys they have there. You could have a situation where, like, again, Ouellette gets hurt, maybe Oliveira gets hurt. A couple of the teams that kind of have just the one guy gets hurt, then it's wide open. And so there's a couple situations that could happen, and you never know.
All right, Adam, we go over to you now with your final pick of the draft. Tap the microphone.
Oh, I did mute. Okay. Anyways, I'm looking at the draft here, and you know what? This is the advantage of being 1 hour ahead or behind time. I'm not as tired, so I can go and make these great picks here in the bonus supplemental draft every year like this. And I'm just about to make another one because, honestly, I can't believe this guy hasn't been picked as well. It was said in the chat, Richard, thanks for bringing it up. It's interesting that Nathan Rourke is one of the top quarterbacks, but only one receiver off the board. Well, there was 2 because I believe Stanley Berryhill was picked also now. But hey,
and Javon Courtois, so that's 3.
And Javon Courtois, that's 3, I guess. But I'm going to go with the 4th, and this one here, I can't believe hasn't been picked. It's Keon Hatcher of the BC Lions. been a good receiver for him for a very long time. He's a kind of a hit and miss receiver, but when he hits hard.
Yeah, it's a great pick. I mean, Keon Hatcher was, 1,000-yard receiver the year before his injury. So if he can return to form, and he's one of the few top options for Nathan Rourke at quarterback, it is a steal in round 5 of the bonus draft. And maybe that'll lead you to victory again, but hopefully not. For my final pick of the draft, not really any receivers I'm super high on that I want to take at this point in time. I could go with a 4th quarterback, but I'm going to go with one of my favorite running backs in the CFL, who I think could get a little bit of a timeshare. And also, I'm not convinced that his starter in front of him can maybe stay healthy the entire season. I'm going to go to the Ottawa Red Blacks and take running back Daniel Adebaboye for the additional Canadian on my roster here as well. I really think he's a fun running back to see play. He makes an impact whenever he gets an opportunity, and I drafted him last year. I'm drafting him this year. I'm waiting for him to finally get that chance to shine. Mike, we go to you for the final pick of the draft, 2 hours and 5 minutes in.
All right. What do they call this?
Mr. Irrelevant.
Mr. Irrelevant? In the name of a friend of the podcast, Brandon Sanders.
Sanders.
Sorry. Hi, Brandon. I'm going to use an old Survivor reference, and Ryan will like this one. I believe they call it the shot in the dark, because this is purely a shot in the dark. Give me, from the Toronto Argonauts, running back Mayan Williams. And then, as I said, a complete shot in the dark.
I mean, we talked about it earlier with Deontay McMahon, right? That the 2 running backs ahead of them on the board got cut by the Argos. So that moves Mayan Williams presumably up to number 2 on the board. It's not a bad deep shot for Mr. Irrelevant. Last pick in the draft. All right. Draft is complete at this point in time. Let's quickly run through everybody's rosters to sum this up, and then let's call it a night because I think we're all tired, but we've had a lot of fun here. I will quickly run through everybody's lineup and get your thoughts on how the draft went for you. Mike, you kept wide receivers, you kept Tyson Philpott and Shamar Bridges as your keepers. Bo Levi Mitchell, Dalton Schoen, Trey Ford, William Stanback, Keyshawn Johnson, Sergio Castillo, Saskatchewan D, Ottawa D, Cole Speaker, Lewis Ward, Walter Fletcher, Deshaun Brissett, Javon Leake, Dante Myers, Stanley Berryhill III, and Mayan Williams. How did you feel the draft went for you tonight with the first overall pick?
I'm disappointed in myself a little bit. Hindsight being 2020. I boxed myself into a corner with the second keeper. In hindsight, I would have maybe let Bridges go and then not make the second keeper just to see what was available at running back a little bit earlier on. That being said, maybe I can package some of my wide receiver depth into getting a running back. The second part of behind my starter seems to be a little bit of a concern for me. But maybe I can package something up and somebody that's injured and I'm fortunate enough to scoop them up and away we go for Team Joe. But overall, I know this is going to be an old adage. Everybody likes their team on draft day until about week 2. And then you realize how much you don't like your team. But that being said, for the sake of fun exercise, certainly like it.
All right, good luck to you this season, Mike. For myself, drafting second overall, my keepers were Greg Bell and Justin McInnes, and followed that up with James Butler, Nick Dembski, Justin Hardy, Kenny Lawler, Reggie Begelton, Montreal's defense, Sean White, Toronto's defense, Rene Paredes, Drew Brown, and Davis Alexander. In the bonus rounds, Trevor Harris, Kion Julian Grant, Dedrick Mills, Dominic Rhymes, and Daniel Adebaboye. I like my draft. I'm really happy with how it went. Took a little bit of a risk without going with one of the top quarterbacks, but Adam had such a dominant season last year, and they say you learn from the person who won before you. Adam did not have dominant quarterbacks for most of last season. It was the running backs and the wide receivers that were the difference makers. So I'm willing to take a chance on some of these quarterbacks and really stack the depth at running back and receiver ahead of it. And we'll see how that goes this time around. Adam, you had Brady Oliveira and Vernon Adams Jr. as your keepers. Chad Kelly, Sam Emelis, Eugene Lewis, Justin Rankin, Tim White, Jalen Philpott, Edmonton's defense, Mark Leggio, Keon Schaefer-Baker, Brett Lauder, BC's defense, Sean Thomas Erlington, Khalil Pimpleton, Nick Arbuckle, Austin Mack, and Keon Hatcher to round out your lineup. How are you feeling about your draft tonight?
I'm feeling okay about it. There's a few pieces I'm not comfortable with. That being in the defensive role and even in the kicker spot, probably a little bit. I'm very confident, though, in my American receivers. I really think that I've got a good set of American receivers. I think I've got some really good – I've got obviously a ratio breaker in running back if it works out for me. That being said, the quarterback situation, I was hoping I could do better, maybe a little bit. I don't know if I trust one of my quarterbacks. One I do trust a bit. The other one I'm not sure on. But that being said, we'll see how it goes. Overall, pretty happy. Probably some work to be done. And, of course, the King's Court is always open.
Oh, good luck to you this season as well, Adam. We'll see if you can come up with the repeat there. Trey, your keepers, Nathan Rourke, Keandre Smith. Your draft picks, Zach Caleros, Eric Wheatfall, AJ Ouellette, Deontay McMahon, Curly Gittins Jr., Charleston Rambo, Winnipeg's D, Liram Haralahu, Hamilton's defense, Vincent Blanchard, DeMonte Coxey, Hergy Mayala, Drew Wolotarski, Chris Streveler, Javon Katoy, and Kadeem Carey. How are you feeling about your team tonight?
Oh, fantastic. I think on paper I have the best team, and just I don't even know why try. Just give me the crown now, Adam. And my collusion central is actually currently closed. I'm actually pretty content with everything.
Oh, all right.
Can I ask a real quick question? Just going through
as
these
long
lists,
as it's quick, Mike.
Going through these lists, where does everybody sit on Stephen Dunbar Jr.?
He was one of the receivers that probably one of the biggest names not drafted, I think, at receiver is fair to say. I mean, 1,000 yards last year, one of the top receivers in the league. My one hesitation there with him was last time he was in Edmonton was when he struggled. He was great both stints in Hamilton, but last time in Edmonton, it didn't click for him. But that was also an entirely different offense at that point in time. I don't know if anybody has other thoughts on Dunbar.
Exactly the same.
Pretty much it, yeah.
Any other big names to quickly throw out that anybody's surprised were not drafted?
Tyler Snead for me was another option, but I was thinking about it in Montreal. But I think it just becomes they have so many good receivers that you didn't get the ball of any type of consistency.
For sure. Anybody else have any to throw out? I think most of mine were taken in this year's draft. Davaris Daniels, maybe, I guess, is the other biggest name still left on the board. And did anybody have any consideration into taking Cody Fajardo or McLeod Bethel Thompson as the veteran backups behind the quarterbacks taking over the new starting role?
Yeah, I was looking at Fajardo.
Not for me.
No, I got my one backup that I'm happy with.
And the only reason I was looking at Fajardo was thinking if Chad Kelly's long-term injured. If he is, then yeah, it would have been good to have Fajardo maybe. But then again, I just need somebody that's going to actually start as well. So that's why I went with Arbuckle afterwards. Like I said, I think that Trey Ford's going to get his chance after the little bit, though. I don't know. McKillum might pull him quicker than you think, but until he does, you can't really go with that. You got to go with who's in.
I just can't this is just for me, and not because I picked Trey Ford. I just wouldn't want to deal with the wrath of the fan base after clamoring for him most of last year. When you got him, you got that tantalizing sort of, yes, he's got it. And then now to say, okay, you're going to give him 1 or 2 games, things don't go according to plan, and now you're going to have the tricky hook finger. Like, I don't know, to me, that the opposite of that don't sit well with the fan base. But by the same token, this is the team that needs to take another step. And if Fajardo's the guy to do it, he's got to do it. They've got to win in Edmonton this year. And yeah, I mean, optics don't look good if you move on from Trey Ford too quickly. But it's a what have you done for me lately business, and there hasn't been a terrible lot of winning over there.
If I would have kept Trey Ford as my quarterback, I think I would have picked Fajardo in the bonus rounds just to make sure I always have one of the Edmonton quarterbacks. Was definitely in consideration for me in that regard. All right, let's wrap things up here. That's our fantasy draft. Fantasy season begins. CFL season begins this Thursday. We will have our week 1 preview show Wednesday night, 10 p.m. Eastern time. We'll go through the week 1 matchups, the fantasy, the betting picks for week 1. Maybe we'll talk about some of the news throughout the week as well as part of that. So look forward to that. Make sure you subscribe over on the YouTube feed and on the podcast platforms. Get notified when that goes live or drops in there. And yeah, we'll be playing the CFL Fantasy season. We'll be providing updates all season long. Waiver wire is open for week number 1 as well. Although I would hope nobody is ready to hit the waiver wire right now, 2 minutes after the draft ends, but you never know if anybody's having some regrets from tonight's draft. You can follow us on social media at CF Countdown Pod on X and on Facebook.com/CF Countdown Pod as well. Check out all the other great shows from around the Canadian Football Podcast Network at CF Pod Network on Twitter. Lots of great CFL shows out there in full swing now with the season kicking off this week. To also check out the Alternative Football Network at the official AFN on Twitter or alternativefootballnetwork.com. You can find me on X at CooperTrooper42 if you really want to. Go for it. Trey, where can people find everything you've got going on?
You can find me at the X at TreyMB Harness. I got all your stuff going on there. Or the Discord. Check me out the Discord. I'm always talking in there.
Sounds good. Mike, what you got going on these days? How many months till we see you again on the podcast, and what you got planned for the meantime?
It'll be sooner than a lot of people think. Now that I have some of my summer commitments lighten up because of other purposes, I just want to take this quick moment, if I can, instead of doing my whole, you can find me here, this is what I have going. I just want to give a shout out to the fire people who are doing an unbelievable job under the circumstances of keeping as much property from burning here as possible. I have never seen a fire situation like this in my lifetime here. As somebody that's in the direct line of fire of these fires, your efforts don't go unnoticed. We've had a couple close calls with the family cabin of ours. So far, so good, but it wasn't looking good there for a time. Appreciate everybody's efforts to keep everybody safe. I know my situation relative to what our family could lose pales in comparison to people that could lose their actual homes. I'm fully aware of that. Just hoping that the fires and stuff will get under control. People can get back to their homes. A lot of displaced people. It's quite a sad situation. So I just wanted to give a shout out to everybody, trying to keep everybody safe in the most extreme, chaotic situations. And I know Saskatchewan's dealing with a couple of situations too. Just really unprecedented. I think they deserve our appreciation, or at least my appreciation tonight, for what they've been able to do to keep for the most part, been under wraps from getting extremely bad, even though they've already been extremely bad. I've already heard some stories about what could have been without intervention. So shout out to those guys who are just going above and beyond to make sure that as much property is saved as possible.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more, Mike. Thank you for adding that at the end. Adam, what about you? Besides wearing the crown, what you got?
Well,
Before we
you know
wrap
what?
up?
I've always got farming stuff going on Adam Stewart 1. Just want to repeat my sentiments, just like Mike saying, I've got a sister that lives up in Prince Albert, and yeah, it's amazing what's going on up there for the efforts that's going on to try to save Flin Flon, La Ronge, Air Ronge, of course, all the First Nations in the Flin Flon region there. Yeah, it's a scary thought of what's going on in Saskatchewan side and in Manitoba side. I really hope that there's some water soon, man. Like there's got to be a rain, I hope very soon, because they need it. And for sure, honestly, you're right, Mike. It's amazing effort from all that are involved in it, and I hope that they can carry it on. And that yeah, it's amazing what kind of strength they're showing in that area, even though there's a very, very terrible situation going on. Other than that, though, yeah, we're very looking forward to getting week 1 going here in the countdown. It's going to be on Wednesday night. We're going to try to go and do a quick review of what all happened in for the cuts. We're going to go and do some talk about some fantasy stuff. Trey's going to talk about his betting stuff and what he thinks to bet on which ant farm this week, or just the team, whatever you want to do. Although it might be fun to bet on ant farms. That'd be pretty cool. But you know what? Honestly, come and join us there, and make sure you can join us in the Discord channel. We always enjoy listening to all you guys and hearing your opinions on how either terrible we drafted or how great we drafted, whichever it is. Anyways, I've got to go because my queen is calling. We'll talk to you.
All right. Yep. Thanks, Adam, for that. Good luck. Good luck to everybody in this year's draft. Thanks to everybody who hung out with us this evening. I know we saw a couple new folks in the live chat, which was great to see as well. Welcome. We've got a fun season of content planned ahead for you. Check out the Discord link in the episode description there to join us in between episodes and chat along with us all season long. And whatever platform you're watching on, listening on, we appreciate it if you do all the fun things such as like, comment, subscribe, rate, review, share the show with your friends, help us grow the show. We always appreciate that. On behalf of the entire CFC crew, Adam, Trey, Mike, and myself, Ryan, thank you for listening. Take care. Have a good one. Bye.